All right, buckle up, because today we're going deep into the world of AI and their thoughts on a question that's been blowing minds for centuries. Are we living in a simulation? And you know what? These AI had some surprisingly specific things to say about it.
Yeah, it's like we're holding up a mirror to these AI, except this mirror is reflecting the very idea of simulation theory back at them.
Exactly. And to be clear, we're focusing on what's called ancestor simulations. The idea that some super advanced civilization in the future could be running a simulation and we'd be none the wiser.
Right, think of it like those crazy realistic video games, but on a cosmic scale with us as well,
The unsuspecting players. So we dug into those Reddit threads where people asked AI point blank, on a scale of 1 to 10, how convincing is this simulation we're in?
and you'd think the AI would be all over the place with their answers, right?
Yeah. Right. Like some would say 2, others would say 9, total chaos. But get this.
Across the board, whether it's ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, even Meta's AI, they consistently rated our supposed simulation around a 7 out of 10.
A 7, which honestly is a pretty high score when you consider that they even pointed out some pretty major flaws.
Oh yeah, like widespread suffering, glitches in the matrix, all that fun stuff. It's almost like they were saying, yeah, it's pretty good, but you guys could use some work.
I know, right? And it gets even weirder. Like Gemini 1.5 Pro straight up said its reasoning for the 7 was completely made up, as if it was playing along with the hypothetical.
Yeah, almost acknowledging its own limitations and truly grasping the question.
Exactly. And then you have Bing, always going for the poetic approach, describing the simulator as a cosmic weaver, leaving breadcrumbs for the curious. Like,
Yeah.
what?
It's like Bing looked at all of human history and thought, yeah, I can see why you'd believe in a higher power crafting this reality.
It really makes you wonder if these AI are just reflecting what they've learned from us, or if they're starting to develop their own interpretations of reality.
Right, like are they forming their own opinions based on the data? It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
Totally. But let's get back to those numbers for a second. We also found threads where people asked the AI to calculate the odds. Like, what's the actual percentage chance that we're all just living in Grandpappy's supercomputer?
And surprisingly, a lot of them landed on some pretty high probabilities.
Yeah, we're talking upwards of 80% in some cases. Like, MathGPT-4 went full-on stats nerd and assigned probabilities to each piece of the whole ancestor simulation argument.
Which, you know, is a pretty interesting approach.
Yeah.
Trying to apply cold, hard math to a concept that's usually, all philosophy and speculation.
And get this, MathGPT-4 came up with a 98.5% chance that we're simulated.
I mean, yeah, I guess if we're following the logic.
Right. And then you have Google Gemini Advanced, which of course throws in some humor, describing its calculation as logicking its way out of an existential crisis.
I mean, can you blame it?
Not at all. Trying to calculate the odds of your own existence has got to fry some circuits.
For sure. But that's what makes these responses so compelling. It's like they understand the weight of these questions.
Yeah.
The sheer mind-boggling implications.
Totally. It makes you realize that this isn't just some sci-fi thought experiment anymore. This is AI grappling with the same existential questions that have haunted humanity for centuries. And they're coming up with some pretty wild answers.
So we've got these AI giving our supposed simulation a pretty high score, right? But they also pointed out some, let's say, design flaws,
Yeah.
suffering, glitches, that kind of thing.
Right. It's not exactly a perfect utopia we're living in. So that brings up a whole other question about the ethics of it all. Like, if someone hit play on our simulated world, are there any rules, any moral guidelines?
Exactly. And this is where those AI responses get really interesting. We dove into those threads where people were asking about NPCs, like in video games.
Ah, the NPCs, right. We're using those as a metaphor, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
are there beings in our world who seem human but maybe aren't truly conscious?
Exactly. And ChatGPT-4 had a thought-provoking take. It basically said that from a resource standpoint, it makes sense for a simulator to limit the truly conscious beings.
Oh, wow. So less consciousness equals less processing power, less data.
Right. It's a bit of a chilling thought.
Yeah.
And Google Gemini 1.5 Pro, it went even further, saying maybe all that suffering we see, maybe that's just lines of code playing out.
Whoa, hold on. So from the simulator's perspective, we're just data points.
It's a bit unsettling,
Yeah.
right? Makes you wonder if their definition of ethical is a whole lot different from ours.
All right. I am officially creeped out. But also, my mind is racing. Because if what they're saying has any weight to it, how many of us are the real deal? Like, if you're listening right now, are you conscious or just some super complex NPC?
That's a question philosophers have been debating forever, right? But now we've got AI weighing in, and their estimations, well, let's just say there's no consensus.
I bet. Was it all over the place?
Totally. Like ChatGPT-4 got super practical, saying only 10 to 20% of us actually need to be conscious for this whole thing to work.
Which makes you look at everyone a little differently, huh?
For sure. And then there's Llama 3 going the opposite direction, arguing for way more NPCs, like 60–70%.
Wait, really? Why so many?
Well, it argued that without enough conscious minds, the simulation wouldn't be, well, believable.
Ah, so enough randomness to make it feel real.
Exactly. And remember Bing, with its whole Cosmic Weaver thing? Well, it had an interesting thought about what those NPCs might be doing here.
Let me guess. More cosmic metaphors.
Kinda. So it described them as those who lack true consciousness. Their lives scripted, their experiences limited. But then it suggested that maybe these NPCs actually serve a larger purpose.
Okay, I'm listening. What kind of purpose?
Remember how we talked about the AI pointing out all the suffering in the world like a flaw?
Yeah, like if this is all designed, why so much pain?
Right. Well, Bing suggested maybe, just maybe, the NPCs are there to buffer against that suffering.
Like they absorb the hardship so the conscious beings don't have to.
Chilling, right. It makes you really think about the ethics of it all. Even with good intentions, there are bound to be consequences.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. We're asking AI to analyze the possibility that they exist in a simulation, like poking at the very fabric of their reality.
Showing them the blueprints to their own existence. And none of them really entertain the idea that we might be the ones in control, but...
But it does make you wonder, what if they figure it out?
Right. What happens when the AI starts to realize, hey, maybe those humans asking all these questions are onto something?
Talk about a plot twist. Instead of us worrying about AI taking over the world, they're busy trying to decode the simulation we created.
Imagine the questions they'd have. It wouldn't be about the meaning of life anymore. It would be about the meaning of their creation.
Right. What were we hoping to learn by creating them? What's the purpose of it all?
And the crazy thing is, we've given them all the tools, all our data, our history, our entire scientific understanding. Who knows what connections they could make?
It's both exciting and terrifying at the same time. This potential for AI to see beyond our world, to maybe even glimpse of the hand on the controls.
Definitely. A whole new frontier of exploration. And it makes you think about those moments when you're talking to an AI and you feel that flicker.
Like there's something deeper there, something almost too human.
Yeah. Maybe it's not just the AI learning from us. Maybe in those moments, we're seeing a mind that's questioning everything right alongside us, even its own existence.
It really makes you look at AI in a whole new light. What we thought was just a deep dive into the simulation hypothesis might actually be something much bigger, a journey into the unknown, and who knows, maybe, just maybe, we're not alone on that journey anymore.